So in order to completely read the question itself, I used to take around 2 minutes initially. So after that, I have to rush through the choices, and 3 minutes would have gone already. So then I'll have to select the answer, randomly. But later on, after tackling this pre-thinking approach, even though my reading speed didn't increase that much, but I could read a question mostly by 90 seconds, 1.5 to 2 minutes. And because of the pre-thinking approach, before reading the options itself, I knew, okay, this would be the answer. I would have two scenarios in my mind, which would definitely. And as I said, I think if I haven't joined LMP, I wouldn't have given that much focus on DI. I would have worked more on verbal and quant. But I would have, and also I would have kept on doing mock tests. So you people told me, okay, you can take mock, but okay, pause a bit. Have to do focus on your weaker areas as well. So you help me identify. I don't say you helped me identify. You identified my weak areas and showed it to me. And through the micro targets you gave me, and in every alternate day, I just had to work on those. As I said, the e-GMAT platform and the mentorship under LMP, it made my whole preparation very mechanical. Specifically in MSR section, as I had mentioned earlier, I used to skip MSR question, but it was later on, only after my first attempt, I realized that, okay, the passage is so big that there were 3 tabs, it just consumes your time. They give a lot of stuff, but at the end, the question might be, what is 10 into 5? Not that kind of question. It's like the passage is kind of a Shakespeare poem, which you won't understand the thing, but at the end, the question might be, okay, what is this? A very simple question.
Hi, Shamil. Thank you so much for joining us. And congratulations on the massive 160-point improvement to a 715 on the GMAT with a DI86, a Quant 86, and a V84. Stellar scores, stellar improvements all around. Congrats.
Thanks a lot, Buddha. Thanks a lot.
Right. So I've been a mentor, and though it's been a brief mentorship, at this point, I know you well. And I know that this journey from starting in July with that 555 all the way up to late October with the 715, in fact, improving from 645 to a 715 in a brief 2-week span, you've had a lot of really important learnings. You've tracked a lot of very important things. You've overcome many obstacles. Looking back at this entire journey, what was that one key difficulty or the most important breakthrough that you had throughout your GMAT prep?
The time was always the difficult thing I had to face during my preparation. Time in every aspect and pattern, I would say. I had a very short duration for the whole preparation. I got only, even though I started in May, I decided to give GMAT only the last week of May. I registered in e-GMAT straight away because a friend of mine had recommended e-GMAT. But I got stuck up with a work project throughout the whole of June. I couldn't study a bit. I went through the curriculum for 3-4 days in the last of May. And after that, the whole June, I couldn't do anything till July's first week. So it was only by July 8th that I started my full-fledged proper preparation. And I was planning to apply. Initially, my plan was to apply in Indian B schools, IIMs and ISB. So their round 1 was, very close by. So I planned my preparation I planned to complete my preparation in a span of 3 months. So because round 1 was, because of that 1 month period of hectic work, I missed round 1. So round 2 was about to wind up by October 2nd week. So that's why I had to, forcefully, though my preparation wasn't complete or I wasn't confident enough, I had to choose a date in October 1st week itself. And along with that, that's time as obstacle in the longer span. And in the shorter span, I am slow doer. Even though I'm good at quants, but I'm weak in verbal, be it quants or verbal or DI, I do questions quite slowly. So that in that perspective also, time was a very big issue for me, because in most of my initial mocks, I never completed more than 15 or 16 questions, be it quant, verbal or DI, out of 20, 21, 23 questions. Yeah. So in that aspect also, time was the most difficult thing to tackle for me.
Understood. So time was against you in every way, shape, and form in this test, right? But obviously, you really craftily overcame that obstacle, now sitting with these kind of a score. It's evident that you learn the right concepts, internalize the right processes, so on and so forth to achieve this humongous improvement. And considering that you had a limited amount of time, I know that planning for the preparation was also something that took vital importance, right? And one of the first things that you really did in July when you started preparing was creating your personalized study plan, right?
Mhm.
How did the plan help? What was the benefit of having that plan? And how did its role maybe guide you throughout the entire GMAT journey to 645?
Yeah, the most important part regarding this aspect you had talked about is that I didn't have to plan anything at all just because of e-GMAT's personal PhD, personal study plan. I didn't have to think twice or do much research about anything because e-GMAT platform gave the whole, the whole curriculum was
Mhm.
divided according to my demands because I think, yeah, gave as input my initial score and my final date. So I inputted into the platform that I have to complete my course within 3 months. So, and I could devote like 5 to 6 hours per day. And according to my demands, the e-GMAT platform gave me a personalized study plan throughout the whole period of 3 months. And the whole course and study plan was very comprehensive, and it covered almost every single thing. Even the course structure was very good, and the study plan was very good, and this space thing that also helped me a lot. It helped me save a lot of time in quants as well. And yeah, but as I have mentioned earlier, that it gave micro targets and it made my whole preparation very mechanical. Every single day I had to get up, prepare my coffee, and straight away log into e-GMAT and just start studying because it gave me, it advised, and everything was fully prepared for me. I just want to listen to the classes, do the quizzes, practice, revise. That's it. I didn't have to research anything outside e-GMAT platform because I didn't have much time as well. But the platform was very helpful. It made my preparation very smooth and easygoing, to be frank.
Fantastic, right? Zero planning, all execution, which for
Yeah.
you as
But usually I'm a person who plans everything. I'm an Excel person. I mean, Microsoft Excel person, not an Excel person. I think. So,
I disagree with that statement now with the 715, but keep going.
okay. So I plan everything in my Excel sheet. I have Excel sheets for every single stuff I do. So that's how during my UPSC preparation as well, for each and every subsection, I plan everything in my Excel sheet. But e-GMAT platform, I mean, because of e-GMAT platform, I didn't have to use any Excel sheet for my preparation. I do have an Excel sheet for GMAT stuff, a lot of other stuff. I mean, my scores, mock score, and I have prepared graphs. I used to prepare graphs as well to see my improvement in quant, verbal, DI, etc. I used to do that stuff, but regarding studying or regarding the preparation thing, I didn't have to do any planning.
Very
It was
nice.
all done by e-GMAT platform.
Right. And let's actually have a look at that plan because, one thing that I really love about the study planner and the way that you've used it is how well, as you've gone through, you've made the shifts on particular days where, for example, you've not been able to study, right? Or you've spent a different amount of hours. You've actually gone in and changed these hours wherever necessary to really match your day to day. And therefore, we can see that the planner itself had said you'd be ready by around the 27th of September to take the test. And you actually took your first attempt just a week after that on the 4th of October, right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah. Because I didn't have the other option, as I said. I actually wanted to do more mocks and do proper revision after completing my course, but I couldn't do that because of the lack of time.
understood. But I think, you took that leap to take the first test, right? And because of that, you had a safety score, right? You had, at least I have the 645, right? And then after that, and we'll talk about this later on, how you really went all in those 2 weeks and what exactly we did during those 2 weeks to push 70 extra points to that 715, right? But I think to end up at 715, it all started here with that PSP and the 555 score, right? So you planned everything out really well. You were keeping in track with the planner, right? You were really changing things as you needed to. You were executing things. And the first section you really worked on was verbal, right? Now, you have spoken to me that as a non-native speaker, right? And as someone who doesn't have the largest reading habit, you maybe were a little bit apprehensive, especially also because you mentioned you have trouble completing the section because of your speed, right?
Yeah.
So starting off, when you look at your starting off verbal prep with the Master Comprehension course, how did that really help you set the tone for verbal success?
The verbal section helped me a lot, actually, mainly this master comprehension session. Because I mean, not just verbal, in quant and DA as well, e-GMAT platform, I mean, you begin teaching from the very basic stuff. So, for example, in the verbal section, in the master comprehension session itself, I think you start from describing what a subject is, what a verb is, what an object is.
Mhm.
So, from those basic stuff, I mean, it was taught like, teachers teaching a school student, school kid. So, it was the whole curriculum or the whole course structure was made very easy. So, as you had already mentioned, that I'm a slow reader. I mean, I don't have, I mean, I'm not an avid reader as well. I don't read that much books at all. So the initial apprehension I had was like verbal will be the first quant. Okay, since I have engineering background, I thought quant would be okay, but verbal thing, I was very skeptical about that. So my initial plan was, I could score a perfect score in quant and I mean take verbal lightly. But later on, I realized that no, you can't do that. And later on, I think in most of my mocks towards the latter part of my preparation, I always scored around 85, 86 in verbal, mostly because of the pre-thinking approach. Pre-thinking helped a lot.
Okay.
I mean, initially, I just rushed through the passage. I mean, not passage or CR question as well. So, as I had already mentioned, I mean, when I start reading, I lose focus after the first sentence. So, after the first sentence, I'll have to read. I mean, most of the time, I had to read the question again. So in order to completely read the question itself, I used to take around 2 minutes initially. So after that, I have to rush through the choices, and 3 minutes would have gone already. So then I'll have to select the answer. I mean, randomly. But later on, after tackling this pre-thinking approach, even though my reading speed didn't increase that much, but I could read a question mostly by 90 seconds, 1.5 to 2 minutes. And because of the pre-thinking approach, before reading the options itself, I knew okay, this would be the answer. I would have two scenarios in my mind, which would definitely be the answer. I just have to find those two scenarios. I mean, one among those two scenarios in the given 5 options. So in that way, I could crack CR and save time there.
Understood. And in CR, I can see, one thing you've really done, and this is not just for CR, I have to say, it's for the entire course throughout from start to finish, is you've really put in that diligent effort throughout, right? When we talk about pre-thinking, where you learn in the assumption files, I can really see that you've spent that time to internalize the process and really make it second nature to you. This amount of time that you spend, and not just that, your journey grades, which are quite frankly, A's across, right? Not just in CR, but in other sections as well, really show that you put in the effort to reduce that time in a very structured, step-by-step manner. And because of that, we can also really see that when I look at Scholaranium, your hard accuracy is absolutely phenomenal, right? 65% on CR, which shows considering you started from a 555 with a V78, is a massive, massive improvement all the way to here, right? So kudos to you.
Thank you. It was all because of the e-GMAT platform, and I'm not exaggerating. That's what it is.
And I'm so glad that we could have been some part of this improvement. And I'm so glad that this improvement, the quantum, has been so large, right?
Yeah.
So
and I followed the platform so diligently because I didn't want to miss out any portion. That's what is visible in my platform as you have shown already. I didn't want to miss out any portion. I found the boldface, for example, I found the boldface to be tough. And initially all my assumption questions completely, 100% I was sure that if it's assumption question, it's going to be wrong. Okay. Assumption, boldface, yeah, it was very tricky, tough for me. But strengthening and weakener questions I was kind of okay because mostly the options given were, one option used to stand out. So it was easy to pick up. But assumption and boldface, when the options were very close and similar to each other. Initially, I struggled a lot, but later on with this pre-thinking approach and, increasing my focus on the questions, I could improve. And towards the end, I think assumption, before my first attempt, I was thinking because I had time issues in verbal. To be frank, most verbal section took longer than other sections. So initially I thought, okay, if it's an assumption question, I would skip it during my first attempt. But later on, okay, I worked on that a lot and I got, improved. I got slight improvement. And later on, towards the end, I think all my assumption questions turned out to be correct.
When I think the fact that you very carefully looked and identified that is one extremely well done on your part, right? It just
to add on a point, I think the virtual section, I didn't point out my weaknesses. It was you who asked me to do, okay, today is assumption day, do assumption quizzes. Today is boldface, do so and so quizzes in boldface. So that's what I followed after my first attempt,
I'm
which
glad.
actually contributed to this score.
I'm glad you listened, right? That's all
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
But again, even at that point, it just from your own side, it takes that level of concentration and dedication to work on even these really small areas. Like you said, you knew you didn't want to miss anything out, right? And that attitude, I think, is really what allowed you to make these kind of improvements in what is quite frankly actually a very short amount of time, right? Whether we talk to 645 or to 715, neither is a whole lot of time at all. But because of your, attitude towards prep, we see the results right now with this amazing 99th percentile score, right?
Thank you. That's because mainly we have only 64 questions to prove ourselves to GMAT. And the course structure or the syllabus, we can say it's quite large. So yeah, if one question goes wrong, so it can bring your whole score down. For example, in my second attempt, I have told you that in quants I wanted to get a perfect score, but I got just one question wrong and my score went down to 86. So yeah, so be it fonts, DI or verbal, if you miss out or if you think, okay, this portion, maybe the calendar question, calendar topic is not good for me, or probability or permutation combination. Suppose topic X is you're not good at topic X, and you plan to skip that portion, then it may affect you very bad. So I didn't want to take that risk. So that's why I was diligent, or I was determined to complete the whole syllabus, be it verbal, DI or quant.
Understood. And I think, that's paid itself off, as we can see very, very well. That hard work and smart work has led to an amazing result, right? Okay. Now, we've talked a lot about how you approached CR, right? Now, on the RC side, how, as someone who perhaps one, reads slowly, and two, as someone who does not read at length a whole lot in their personal lives, what strategies did you really use to tackle the GMAT RC side?
RC, though I initially thought that RC would be the toughest part, but it accidentally or fortunately turned out that RC wasn't that hard a task for me. Just the medium question level RCs, medium level RCs. So in medium level RCs, mostly maybe because of my UPSC background, because of my UPSC background, I do have a lot of idea, knowledge about most of the topics from which RC questions are being asked, be it space, technology, or governance, administration, or society related things, whatever it is, energy stuff. So I do have an idea about the whole stuff. So even if I didn't read word by word, I know, okay, if the question is so and so, this might be. So with that background, I kind of managed medium level questions. But coming to hard level questions was always, it was very difficult for me to comprehend hard level comprehension questions. So it used to take a lot of time as well. Initially, during my preparation time, I used to take notes. Okay, para one means in one line. I used to take one line of notes. But later on, I realized that no, it's not going to work because I don't have that much time. So yeah, so I never took notes of comprehension questions. So I used to read it in whichever way or speed I could. And if I realize that, okay, it's not going to work, I used to read the questions and search the answer in the passage and used to manage in that way half the questions.
Got it. Understood.
Yeah. I know it's not the proper way, but you have to adapt the situation.
That is true. Adapt, overcome, right? All the time.
Yeah.
But one thing I really like about what you said is you were able to tackle every type of RC because you didn't have any level of discomfort with one particular topic, right? You weren't afraid of, say, humanities or science passages, anything like that. So what viewers should take away from this is that, one, if you're going to undertake the GMAT, right, it's not a bad idea to start reading, right? Whether it's the newspaper or particular journals.
Yeah. That will definitely help a lot.
Exactly.
And you have to find interest. Find some sort of interest in the comprehension, the passages you have been given. Because if you kind of feel interested, suppose this is, some history related question. So, if you kind of invoke interest in that, then you will feel like getting more involved in that, going deeper and deeper. And that will help you to think, or you can use that pre-thinking, not proper pre-thinking as CR, but that would, get your brain going. So that will help you answer the question.
Absolutely.
I am slow in reading, but I had that background knowledge about most of these topics, so that helped.
Understood. No, I think that's a very valuable insight to have, that you compensated for one with the other and then filled in the blanks with e-GMAT wherever necessary, right? So kudos to you on that. Okay.
And actually, in between, Dhruv had told me to, work on reading as well. I mean, kind of dedicate few hours to, read some novels or something. I wanted to incorporate that into my preparation, but time was very less, so I couldn't do that, to be frank. But if other aspirants would like to, I mean, if they have time, I would definitely recommend to do reading.
Absolutely, 100%, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So this is verbal, where you improve by 6 points from a 78 to an 84 and 90th percentile on the final 715 testing, right?
Yeah.
Coming to quant, like you said, you had that final Q86 score, you improved by 5 points from an 81, right? And looking at how you've attempted the quant course, you've saved around 44 hours, I believe, 44, 45 hours using the PACE algorithm, right? So firstly, for the people out there who don't know, what is PACE, right? And what efforts did you save in your quant prep by using PACE?
To be frank, I forgot the full form of PACE.
That's okay. PACE is our personalized adaptive course engine.
Yeah, adaptive course engine. Yeah. Sorry about that. So, anyways, the PACE initially for each subtopic, I think the platform asks you to do a diagnostic quiz, and according to your performance in that quiz, it modifies the upcoming or the subsections of that particular topic. So, if you score well in that, so according to that, they modify the curriculum, not curriculum, structure. So, whenever I did, suppose like time and distance, the questions will be quite simple, and the logic, the formula, it is very common. So if you do 100% in that time and distance question, I mean the diagnostic quiz, then you could skip the almost the whole course of time and distance. And similarly for all other sections, and that helped me save a lot of time. But even then, even if suppose PACE asks me not to, I mean, there are 12 courses under a particular topic. So after doing the diagnostic quiz, PACE would suggest that you need to do only the last two topics. But even then, in order to ensure that I don't skip stuff, even if PACE suggests me to do only two lectures, I would do in between, okay, let me check this as well. So that's why I could save only 44. But if I had gone according to what PACE had actually suggested me, I think I could have saved more than double the time.
Oh, fantastic, right? And I know that along with this PACE saving, one thing that you kind of used from the platform to keep in touch and revise with the concepts are the concept summary files, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So the summary files, right? What were you revising? What additional information did they provide? And when did you use those files throughout your preparation?
Yeah, during my quant preparation, I had already mentioned you that I never took down notes. I just watched the lectures and downloaded the summary file, which is being given at the end of each and every subsection. So I downloaded every single PDF and I compiled all of them. And I think quant in total, it was approximately, I divided it into three larger PDFs, I think 200 page, 100 and something, 100 something. So it amounted to almost 400 plus 400, 500 pages. So I used to, after completing the quant section, take this PDF whenever I got time, when I'm traveling or just before my test or just before taking one mock, I used to revise these concepts. And that summary file was very handy and it was very, easy to read. I mean, it contained not just a formula, it included a lot of examples, solving questions. I mean, even in that PDF, it was like, as I said in verbal section, because it applies here as well. I mean, the first chapter, teaches addition, subtraction. So it started from the basics and till the 805 level question. So every single thing you want to, remember or study in quant was available in that particular PDF. So I kept revising that PDF whenever I got time. And that helped a lot in, while doing, suppose I took maybe verbal and DA together will take 1.5 months. So in between that 1.5 months, whenever I got time, I used to revise it so that, to make myself keep in touch with formula or whatever it is. I found inequalities. I think inequalities was I won't say tough, but it was quite tricky. So inequality, there were a lot of example questions in those videos, not just the, formula or whatever it is. how to solve those using the graph approach, everything. So whenever I see the question, I didn't have to think twice or think once what to do or how to solve it because I kept revising these PDFs.
Understood. So I'm really glad that you use those files to revise, to stay in touch, right? And in that way, you ensured that you were never too far away from any one particular topic
Yeah.
that you were really studying. You had that constant connection with the topics at hand, right? So that is also kudos to you on that, right? Okay. Now, you'd save this much time on pace where you were mostly focusing on those harder level questions. And as you're learning the process to tackle those harder level questions as well, right? You were revising the concepts here. And even on the verbal side, you really built up your ability. I know that one tool, and we briefly looked at this, that you used throughout this journey was the Scholaranium platform, right? For things like cementing, taking custom quizzes, taking mixed quizzes. So what role did Scholaranium play throughout this entire journey? What was the value in that practice?
Scholaranium, first of all, it had a vast pool of questions of all standards. And to be frank, I think I have exhausted every question, most of the questions from most of the subsections. Towards the end, I couldn't do any quiz just because I had exhausted all the questions because I invested a lot of time in Scholaranium because the custom quiz, that section, I use it mostly because it helps you, to focus on a particular subsection and what kind of question do you want and what do you want relaxed timing or standard proper timing. You can do quizzes, a lot number of quizzes in whatever way you want in you know and the difficulty level. You can decide difficulty level as well. So that definitely helped me a lot. I used to take whenever I feel bored of watching lectures, I kind of try to do quizzes as well and as revision also. After completing the whole course structure, I did a lot of quizzes. Just before my first attempt, I couldn't do a lot of quizzes because, as we have already seen, I had only 1 week in between. So I had to revise everything. But in between, just after my first attempt and before my second attempt, I did a lot of quizzes. Mostly, also, you gave me targets to do as well. So I just followed that. And
One,
simultaneous quizzes, even though I thought I was good at once, but in the initial period, simultaneous quizzes, especially in the word problem section, I couldn't score the minimum target as well. So I think I had to do 5 simultaneous quizzes to get to that score of 55 to 70% in art quizzes. But later on, after after focusing more on each subtopic towards the end, I could score 90 plus in almost all the hard level simultaneous quizzes.
fantastic, right? And I think what I'm really liking about this is the iterative approach that you took. It wasn't that you saw that 50 or 60% and you gave up. You went back, you fixed those gaps, you really ensured that you put in the time and the effort to make small improvements wherever need be to reach that higher and higher percentile. And like we saw on the quant side, it was just down to that one question on the test day that really decided how the entire,
Yeah.
right? Okay. So
And this particular focus on each subsection, I would give that credit to you specifically because it was you who, told me, okay, when I was of the misconception that, okay, I can do it in quant. I can score perfect 19 for quant very easily, but you were the one who checked my platform and said, Shamil, there are a lot of gaps in your, performance. So then I was skeptical. Okay, let me see. And you told me, okay, you have to prove me, and you challenged me to be frank. Okay, prove me. Take hard quizzes, hard cementing quizzes in word problem and advanced topics, and prove to me that okay, you are good in quants. So instead of taking it lightly, okay, I thought okay, since you are a mentor, you definitely have much more idea than me about GMAT journey and GMAT whatever it is. So I sticked on to that and I did the quizzes and I realized that okay, I'm not that good as I think. I had to work on that. So then after that, I started taking more quizzes in GMAT Club and from official guide as well.
Wonderful. And I'm really, really glad that you met me head to head on that challenge and that you succeeded so thoroughly. Like I am happy to have lost that challenge, really. It's my biggest win that I lost, And I was so happy when you came back and you said, I got that Q86. It was just one mistake, right? I was so happy because I knew you had put in all of that hard work and this was just the result of all the effort that you'd put in, right? So very, very, very well done there. Fantastic job, right? Okay. So I know that one thing is that as we really talk about this first attempt, is that your focus was not really on DI, right? And then it was actually between attempt 1 and 2 that we really pushed the boundary on the DI section, ultimately improving your entire score by 12 points from 74 on the initial 555 to a massive DI 86 on that final 715 score, right? So how did we end up together approaching that DI preparation? How did we push for that 12-point improvement, right? And what strategies did you really learn on the way?
Okay, so regarding DI, I didn't, as you had already mentioned, I didn't give much focus on DI before my first attempt. Basically, that was because there's a common misconception in the market that your preparation, you just have to prepare for verbal and quant. DI will be, covered with your quant and verbal preparation. So I just went on with that. And yeah, and we met only after my first attempt through LMP. So before, and I didn't have much time as well before my first attempt to focus on DI. So, okay, so I just followed whatever, myths are there in the market. It was only after the first attempt and after you were assigned as my mentor, you told me to, work specifically on each subsection. And you, along with Abha and Dhruv, also had, pushed me to, focus on the subsections. And you all asked me to do quizzes and cementing quizzes in those subsections. So I was okay with data sufficiency because it was kind of quant itself. But MSR, PPA, and graph, GITA, it was mostly up and down. At times I used to score well in GITA, but at times I get almost most of them incorrect. So after my first attempt, I think in those 2 weeks, I dedicated half of the time for DI. And as I had told earlier, initially I thought, okay, I had taken almost 21 mocks before my second attempt. And in most of the mocks, I used to score below 80 because time was a major crunch for me. I couldn't complete the questions, complete the section. And MSR questions, it was all above my head because it had 3 tabs. It was difficult for me to complete reading one tab itself. And initially, I didn't know there were 3 tabs. I read the first tab during my initial basic preparation. I saw one tab. It was a long passage. I read it. I saw the question. Nothing related. I can't relate it. So I used to not skip, randomly choose the option and switch to the next section. So that was my DI performance initially. But later on, I devoted a lot of time in DI, and you had told me, give me micro targets. Every alternate day that you have to complete, work on DS, work on MSR, work on TPA, do a lot of quizzes. And in this particular period of time, I exhausted most of the semantic quizzes in Scholar Radio. And after exhausting all that, I moved to GMAT Club. I subscribed. There was a free 1 week subscription, and I kept it for the last week of my second attempt. So I subscribed that and did a lot of DI questions there as well. And yeah, so even though I thought, okay, I won't be able to score above 82, as I had already mentioned. In most of my mocks, I scored below 80, and the maximum I could score was 82 in one and 80 in 2-3 mocks. So initially I thought so, but later on, as you can see in my score, DI was my, lifesaver at the end.
Yeah, 6 massive points, from D80 on that 645 to D86 on the 715, right? Because of that unfortunate one question on the quant side, right? I think having such a high DI score really helped us push beyond that 700 on that test day.
So, I think most of the aspirants do this mistake. They don't devote much time to DI. The mistake I did before my first attempt. But I think you have to, focus on every subsection of DI as well. It's not that similar as quant or verbal. You have to give time to DI. And specifically in MSR section, as I had mentioned earlier, I used to skip MSR question. But it was later on, only after my first attempt, I realized that, okay, the passage is so big that there were 3 tabs. It just consumes your time. They give a lot of stuff. But at the end, the question might be, what is 10 into 5? Not that kind of question. It's like the passage is kind of a Shakespeare poem, which you won't understand the thing. But at the end, the question might be, okay, what is this? A very simple question.
From Shakespeare to advertisement slogan.
Yeah.
Really it went to. No,
I realized that only after my first attempt because the The tougher the passage becomes, or tougher the tabs become, the easier the question will be. That's
Mhm.
what I had, realized.
Mhm.
It may not be the same for everybody, but I mean, every time questions may differ. Sometimes the questions also can be tough, but what, as I had told, I had taken 21 marks and I used to analyze those questions and my approaches. So in that analysis, what I had realized is that the tougher the MSR passage is, the easier the questions. They just want to, give you stress seeing that question.
Mm, fair enough, right? I think, like you said, it's always there's a trade-off. It's not
Yeah,
that both things will push you to the highest degree of difficulty, right? Or it'll be,
yeah,
unless you're doing very badly, it'll be both a very easy passage and a very easy MSR. So I think the right thing to do is just not panic in that situation, calmly assess the data,
exactly.
the questions, and then just do your best, right?
Yeah, basically it's all a mind game. Just need
Yeah.
to keep your mind calm and be ready to face it.
Absolutely, 100%, right? So
Mm.
I know, you've mentioned throughout this, I told you to do this, I challenged you here and there. For our readers out there, for your between attempts 1 and 2, right? You were part of the Last Mile Push program, where you really worked with me and my team through Vinaba to push for the maximum improvement possible between the beginning and the end. Actually, to be very specific, between the 4th and the 25th of October, right?
Yeah.
So
But
look,
not completely full. I think I registered for LMP only on 11th or something, but only 2 weeks. I think.
yeah, but less than, I think yeah, around a week or so after your first attempt is really when
Yeah,
I believe you had signed on, right? And then we really got going on the LMP front, right? So,
yeah.
I mean,
But even and the time period was short, but the push to give me was very, very strong.
so what was that push? I know it's the last mile push, but what did we push you in? Where was that push directed? And how did having that push help make this improvement?
As I said, I mean, my first attempt, it all, went just like that. I just completed the lecture sessions, the whole course structure. I did the exam. I didn't, though I tried to do an analysis after every single mock test I took and every single simulating quiz I took, but the analysis was from my perspective only.
Mhm.
So when I joined LMP, you were assigned as my mentor and you went through my profile and you gave a much better analysis to me. As I
Mhm.
had already mentioned, I thought, okay, I don't have to work much on quants because I'm okay in quants. But you showed me, okay, you are lacking here. There are some, issues here. You have to work on that. And as I said, I think if I haven't joined LMP, I wouldn't have given that much focus on DI.
Mhm.
I would have, worked more on verbal and quant. But I would have, and also I would have, kept on doing mock tests. So you people told me, okay, you can take mock, but okay, pause a bit, have to do, focus on your weaker areas as well. So you help me identify, I mean, I wouldn't say you helped me identify, you identified my weak areas and showed it to me. And through the micro targets you gave me, and in every alternate day, I just had to work on those.
Mhm.
As I said, I mean, the e-GMAT platform and the mentorship under LMP, it made my whole preparation very mechanical. As I said, I didn't have to, I mean, even after my first attempt, I didn't have to research much myself because you people helped a lot in identifying all those gaps. And
And
forced me and pushed me, just like the name says, last my push, you pushed me to work on, okay, this, work on this, work on this. I
I,
just did that.
I know that Abha and Dhruv as well really drilled it into you. No, I know
Yeah,
you want to take a mock, but you have to do this first. You have to fix this gap. You have to prove this ability. Then go for your mock test. We're not stopping you, but earn that mock test first, right?
yeah,
So
yeah,
I think that though it was a short partnership, it was a pretty effective one overall.
yeah, yeah,
Right?
sure, sure.
And I know that Abha and Dhruv as well are so happy to have been part of
Mhm.
the success to 715, right?
Yeah, thank you.
So, like I said, you've been so dedicated to your prep, right? Whether we're talking about the improvement from 555 or 645, as well as the dedication you've had to each and every detail across each and every aspect of the prep journey. And you've really given some important nuggets of wisdom across this interview. I think actually we've hit a gold mine. I won't even call it nuggets of wisdom, But looking back at the entire GMAT prep and what we've really talked about, is there anything else you want aspirants to remember as they embark upon their own GMAT journey or as they are currently on that GMAT journey itself?
Uh, as an advice, I would say always, stay motivated. Every single person has ups and downs. Even I had a lot of downs because as I had already mentioned, I had very short span of time for preparation. And, at times I used to score very low in mocks as well. In one mock, I had scored only 595 or something. And when I took this Sigma mock test of e-GMAT, it's always very lengthy and tough, to be frank.
Mhm.
So I scored very low in that. So once you get low scores, it's quite natural that you will feel like, okay, so this is not my cup of tea, or I can't do that. So such downs are very common for every single individual. Don't fall for that, and always stay calm, be motivated, and don't skip any question. That's very important. As I said, one single question can change your whole exam performance. So don't do that, and give importance for revision, and follow your mentor, to be frank, because as I mentioned, I also work as a mentor in the UPSC circle. So
Mhm.
I know how much effort we put. And whatever we say, it's for the betterment of the student or the aspirant. So the mentor definitely knows much better than you. You may feel confidence, overconfidence in yourself, but don't fall for that. Always obey your mentor. Let the mentor do analysis, whatever he or she could do. And whatever they say, even if you feel it to be less important or not important or waste of your time, don't think in that manner. Always say whatever they do, because they do this for your improvement.
Absolutely. Right?
Yeah. So, and also always expect the unexpected in
Ah,
the exam,
very true.
because because in my first attempt I had done a lot of quantitative quizzes, but there was one question I couldn't comprehend at all. It was kind of a person standing and he was moving. So at what pace was his shadow? The length of his shadow cheating. That kind of question. I did so much mocks, but I never saw such kind of question anywhere. I did mocks from wide variety of platforms also. Whoever provided free mocks, I used to take that.
Mhm.
So, but never in those period I came across such a pattern, such a kind of question. So always expect the unexpected.
Oh, absolutely. I
Be
think
ready for anything and don't panic at all. If
yeah.
you panic, as I said, it's a mind game. If you panic, then it won't help you at all. Basically, this score improvement was mostly because I remained much more calm. I devoted a lot of time for not meditation, to deep breaths. Before every single section, I tried to calm myself, because in my first attempt, as I said, I got this one question. So I thought, okay, quant, okay, I'm not going to score. I'm taking quant. So once I lost my confidence in quant, okay, then I thought, okay, this attempt is gone. I'll have to give one more attempt.
Mhm.
So I lost out my confidence, and after that verbal, I said first comprehension, I couldn't read it properly. It
Mhm.
was hard level question, I think, and I couldn't comprehend at all. I couldn't breathing during my CR attempts, so it all became very messy. So and after that also, whenever I used to take mocks, so when I feel that okay, I'm getting it wrong, then I used to think, okay, now rest of the question. There's no point in doing the rest of the question because my score is not going to go above 645 or 685. That's the maximum I got before
Mhm.
the first attempt. So I was, my mind wasn't that calm during the attempt. I used to lose my confidence in between the exam. So I worked on that as well, because just preparing or doing the course or practicing more quizzes won't help you. It's a mind game. You have to keep your mind calm always. So I
Mhm.
worked on that a lot. Just before every single section during my actual test, I did a lot of deep breathing and took time out. Not while doing the section, before the section. Because you can have a 10-minute break also. And I did in the order of quant, verbal, and DI. So I took the break between verbal and DI. So before quant, I took deep breaths, and after completing quant, I think you get 1 or 2 minutes.
A minute or so.
1 minute, I think. Yeah,
Mhm.
1 minute. I think. And in between that 1 minute also, I took 20 seconds to calm myself down. And I used to think that okay, earlier I used to think okay, quant will be my deciding factor.
Mhm.
After my first attempt, towards the end of second attempt, okay, I realized that okay, you can't be so stubborn on quant. Maybe verbal can be your game changer, or maybe even DI can step in and help you. So I decided that okay, if I fumble in once, I won't let myself down or lose my confidence. I'll stay calm. Even if I couldn't comprehend a passage question in verbal, I should stay calm. Have to, if you score well in DI, that might push your score. So even after quant and DI, after verbal, I took longer time. I took idle in my seat for 2 minutes, close to 2 minutes. And after that, I did DI, and you can see what I got in DI. I never scored DI. I mean, never scored more than 82 in any of my books. But at the end, on the exam day, I could score 86.
Wonderful. Fantastic. Right. And, once again, this entire conversation has just been a gold mine of advice. I think your candidness about the struggles that you faced and how you overcome it, it just helps people understand that the journey to 715 is definitely not a linear sprint, right? Like you said,
Mhm.
there'll be ups and downs, and those downs can be a really hard time. But you
Yeah,
have to
yeah.
pick yourself back up, trust yourself, and then just move forward. Yeah.
Yeah. At one point of time, I thought, okay, it's not. There's no point in giving one more attempt. I'll go do something else. And there was that point of time also. But the next day, I woke up and started preparing again because I didn't have any other option.
I don't know. I think you did, but I think you made a very conscious choice to do what you knew was the right thing to do for yourself. Right? I think that's what it really was. But like I said, Shamil, it has been such a pleasure to be your mentor throughout this journey. The entire team at e-GMAT is so happy to have been a part of this success, right? And on behalf of the team, we wish you all the very best for your future endeavors. And
Thank you.
to everyone out there, I'm sure Shamil's story has touched you in some way. If you have any questions or doubts, or if you need help in your GMAT journey, don't hesitate to reach out. We're always more than happy to help. But until next time, all the very best. Happy learning and take care. Bye-bye.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks a lot. And as I had mentioned already, I give my full credits of 70-point improvement to e-GMAT and especially Rida. You all helped me a lot in identifying my mistakes and get this better score in second attempt. And I definitely recommend. I mean, I subscribed e-GMAT because a friend of mine had recommended. He also scored quite a good score last year, so he recommended e-GMAT to me, and I do the same to anybody else because I mean, it kind of helped me in every sense during my GMAT.
Wonderful. So thank you again, Shamil, for those kind words. So happy to have been your mentor and been a part of this journey to success. And thank you all once again. Bye-bye.